Howdy howdy, in today's video I'm going to be doing some hand poured metal casting, showing you how I turn a 3D print into some solid silver, so let's get straight into it. So the very first job is to find a 3D print to actually turn into silver. So look at this bad boy here, look at this alien round, how cool is this? Now this one was designed by 814 Casting. Now I'll leave a link below in the description to his Patreon. He has some wonderful designs, so it's well worth going to check out. So yeah, that's the first alien round design I'm going to do. This is the Stl file, obviously we've got to print it out, but also he's done another one which is just as cool. Check this bad boy, look at that one. We'll also be giving this one a go. So the next job now is to actually get it across to Cura. Now Cura is a piece of software that actually cuts the print up into slices so it can be printed out. So let's go and have a look at that. So there we are, we've transferred the Stl file across. As you can see, it's sitting flat on the bed. Now I don't want to print it flat, I want to flip it up and print it on the edge just to get a bit, I think I get a bit more definition, a better print. So this is what we're doing now. So there it is, it's flipped up on its side. Now we're just going to resize it. Now I want to go for a 40mm, 4cm wide round or coin. So we'll just get it resized now. There we go, look, 40mm. There it is, and now basically it's ready to print. So what we'll do now, we'll tell the software to cut it up into layers, into slices, and it work it out now. There we go, we'll click slice and it will work out now exactly how it's going to print it. Each layer or slice will be printed out one at a time. So there we go, it's just working out, it's doing all the computer jazz. There we go, come on, there we go, look, 1 hour 18 minutes, so not too bad. Here's a preview of it. And basically, as you can see here, it's got a little bit of light blue going up the front, which isn't on the design. Now that's an actual support. If you see, it's just under his chin there. So what that's going to do is, because there's a bit of an overhang by its chin, that blue piece will support the chin when it's printing. Because without it, the printer just wouldn't work, the print wouldn't work, and the plastic would just drop on the floor. So that's what that's there for. And as you can see, there's the nozzle at the top. That's actually doing a layer. You see the green line, that's one slice. And he's just showing you what to do. So what we'll do now, I'll get the printer set up and get it all printed out. So here we are then, here's the two prints. Look at them bad boys, how cool are those? They've come out really well, nice and chunky, so should do a nice cast. So now the first job is to get some powder on it and then start doing the sand cast. So the powder I'm using today, I'm actually run out of talcum powder and I'm on the old corn flour at the moment. So there we go, we're just layering on some corn flour, a light dusting, and then what this will do, this will actually stop any of the grains of sand, the casting sand, sticking to the mould basically. Hopefully it won't stick to it and we'll get very little breakage basically. So what we'll do, as you can see here, I'm just filling up the sieve, and we'll sieve the first couple of layers on just so it's nice and fine, so this gives us a nice crisp impression, because you want the first, basically the sand that goes on first is what makes the impression. So if we can do that nice and fine, as I said, hopefully it will make nice and crisp. And then once we've done the first layer, as you can see, we can start lamping it on a bit quicker. So there we go, we'll start pushing it in soon and getting a lot of sand into it and getting the cast done. So as you can see here, I'm just very lightly using the tips of my fingers, just pushing in very gentle. Don't want to push too hard at the beginning because you don't want to, like, you know, super compress it until you get more sand in, but that just gets some of the air out. And now what I'll do, I'll start pushing down a bit harder once we've got some more sand on. now as you can see, it's all filled up with sand, and now it's time to really give it a good compress down so we get a nice crisp image. Now I'll use a hammer to do this. So there you go, trusty hammer. Let's give it a whack. As you can see now, I've got it impressed in nice, so now's the time to try and get it out. But before we pull it out, what I like to do is just give it another little push in, just to make sure we get a nice, as I keep saying the word crisp, and it is really important. It's got to be a nice crisp design, because if we don't get this part right, then there's no way we're going to get the pour and a good end result. So it's got to be nice and crisp. As you see, I've just pushed it in another 1 or 2 mil, and now we'll give it a bit of a tap with a spoon to try and just get a bit of air, release a little bit of air underneath the 3D print, then hopefully it should come out nicely. Bit of trusty masking tape, this will do the job. Push it in and lift it out. So there you go, a nice design ready to pour. So what we'll do now, we'll get on and we'll use the same process just for the second 3D print. Right guys, just before we crack on with the pour, I have had a few people asking me in the comments and privately as well, DMing me, whether I actually sell any of my pours, and I actually do. You'll see my website here, so you're just scrolling through, that's a nice little school bar I've got on. I do sell them, so if you are interested, just check out the website, www.silverpunk.org. Well worth a look if you're interested. Now, let's get on to the serious stuff, the pour. Oh yeah, look at that bad boy. Oh yeah. let's get him over for a quench. You having that?
What if you were offered the opportunity to visit another planet? You'd get to experience the culture of an alien race, explore a new world, see and use technology that's 5,000 years ahead of ours. Would you do it? Well, before you answer, there are a few catches. You'll be gone at least 10 years, and when you return to Earth, all evidence of your existence will be erased. You have to start a new life, with a new identity, forbidden to tell anyone about what you experienced. Now would you do it? Well, in 1965, 12 astronauts were sent to an alien planet as part of a human-alien exchange program. 13 years later, they returned home. Well, most of them did. The mission commander wrote a 3,000-page report of everything the team experienced. First alien contact, the 40-light-year trip to the alien world, and everything that happened on the planet. This is the true story of Project Serpo. When Colonel McKeever of the United States Air Force arrived at Fort Leavenworth, he was excited, but he didn't have much information. All he knew is that he was selected from hundreds of candidates to command the most important space mission in the history of the human race. That's quite a description. Naturally, he asked for details about the mission, but was told he would be briefed during training. McKeever did know the mission was going to be long, 10 years, plus almost a year for training and another year in quarantine at the end of the mission. So 12 years away from home. It was 1965, so he wouldn't be back until the late 70s. Now, for most people, this would be difficult, but McKeever had no relatives, no wife, no kids, and very few friends. His life was the Air Force. As far as he was concerned, he could leave for 12 years or 20. It was all the same to him. And that was a good thing, because another condition of the mission is that he was to be sheep-dipped.
Sheep-dipped?
Well, sheep-dipped is an intelligence term used to describe identities that are made to disappear. All records, military, civilian, school records, social security, DMV, IRS. It's like you never existed.
No, I wouldn't mind disappearing from the IRS.
I understand that.
Taxes are theft!
Colonel McKeever parked his car and was met by a young military police officer. After exchanging salutes, they walked in silence to an office building at the edge of the base. The outside of the building was nondescript, painted that gray-green beige color that the military used for everything. The inside of the building was very different, though. As a colonel, McKeever had been in plenty of secure buildings, but nothing like this. Metal detectors, cameras everywhere, armed guards posted in every hallway. McKeever's escort motioned to an elevator. McKeever asked, "You're not coming with me?" The young man said no, he didn't have clearance. He saluted and the elevator doors closed. McKeever felt the elevator taking him several stories down. He noticed there were no buttons in the elevator, no indication of the number of floors. The elevator doors opened, and another young man was waiting. McKeever noticed his badge said Air Force Office of Special Investigations. As far as Colonel McKeever knew, OSI was a law enforcement agency. He had no idea what they would be doing here, but he knew not to ask. McKeever entered the briefing room, which looked like a classroom. There were 11 people seated. He saw 2 Army uniforms, 2 Navy, and the rest were Air Force. At the front of the room was another Air Force colonel that McKeever didn't recognize, who told him to take a seat.
Sorry to interrupt the nice little alien story, but what we've got to do now is now we've done the initial clean up with the sandpaper, we've got to give it an ultrasonic clean. So there you can see there, I've got them in with a couple of other bits and pieces in the ultrasonic cleaner. And what's in there is some really hot water with a little bit of washing up liquid, and we'll give them probably a bathe. We'll give them a bath for about 20 minutes, and then we'll come back to them and we'll get on with the toning. So that'll take about 20 minutes in there.
Is classified beyond top secret. There are fewer than 60 people in the world who know this information. If you repeat what you learn here today, you'll be charged with treason. Understood? The group nodded slowly, clearly aware of the weight of the situation. The colonel pulled down a screen and called to someone to get the lights. On the screen, a black and white film began to play. The first few seconds were the typical warnings about unauthorized viewing and other disclaimers that Colonel McKeever had seen 1,000 times. The footage showed what appeared to be the desert at night, though it was hard to tell. The footage seemed to be 20 years old. Then a title came on the screen that McKeever didn't expect. It read, Roswell, New Mexico, 1947, First Contact.
So what is ClickUp? ClickUp is an all-in-one productivity software where you can manage everything and anything.
The film lasted about an hour and left everyone in the room stunned. They had heard of Roswell and the supposed UFO crash. The Air Force said it was a weather balloon, and that explanation was good enough for McKeever. The film explained that the UFO crash in Roswell did happen, though technically the crash was in Corona, New Mexico. And 2 years later, in 1949, another UFO crashed nearby. Now, this was something McKeever didn't know, and there was footage of the Roswell recovery. At first, it was difficult to understand what he was looking at. It was clearly metal wreckage, but it could have been a plane for all McKeever knew. Then he saw it. Hiding behind a rock was
Now if you enjoyed this pour, these circular coins or rounds, check this one out up here. This is a Batman coin. It's so cool.